got nothing else to do, so
Where you going? What you gonna do?
I'll be here for a couple of days, then I'll go back to Florida. My wife got to deliver soon, so. Got daddy duties waiting for me.
Vuč, can you predict how your free agency is going to play out right now for us? No, I'm just obviously, it's the big storyline facing you. You've talked about it 1,000 times this season. As sitting here right now, day after the season, how do you envision this playing out?
I mean, it's obviously hard to talk about it now, but for me, obviously, the Bulls will have priority. I would like to stay here, but that's on the front office to decide and work with my agent on the contract part, and then also I'll talk to them about their vision and plans and things like that. But yeah, that's as much as I can say. Obviously, I'll be a free agent, so I'll see what else is out there, and I'll obviously test the market. But like I said, I've been here for 2.5 years now. I like my time here, build good relationships, my teammates, coaches, front office, people in the organization around the city. So, a lot of positives here. But we'll see, what their plan is and what they decide to do and go from there.
Vuč, do you have to wait and see to what kind of market there'll be for you in free agency? Or you and your agency trying to figure that out now? Because there's not a lot of cap space around the league. You could make a good argument that you're still a top 10 center in the NBA, but some places centers are being de-emphasized. Do you have a good handle on what the markets or the demand is going to be for a player like you?
I think it's too soon to say now. See, it'll all depend on how certain teams do in the playoffs, probably the draft, a lot of stuff go on up until free agency starts. So, I never really look ahead that much. Season just finished yesterday, and literally I didn't draw the whole season. I never put any thoughts into it or what can happen, things like that. Focus on the season, try to help the team play the best we can, and now obviously even now I won't think about it too much. That's something more for my agents to do, and then talk to me and see. But I think there's still a lot of time before those talks really start happening.
We've talked about your fit on this team and how it got off to a slow start, that type of thing. Do you still feel like you fit on this team, or do you feel like because of everything you went through that you might fit better somewhere else?
No, I think like I do fit. It's just took a little bit of time for me to adapt to a new system, and for my other teammates to adapt playing with me. Sometimes it doesn't happen right away, and that's natural. I think I do fit. I think this year it showed much better what I'm capable of doing, when I'm at my best. I do think I fit. I think as the more we play together, the better it'll be. I don't think that's a fit issue at all.
Vuč, when you talk about the Bulls are the priority for free agency, I know it's not your job or your agent's job to look at cap space and what's fit and fits, but, I mean, they could be working only from a certain amount of numbers because of what they have here or what they want to bring back. Are you cognizant of that? Are you a guy that's wired where it's not about the most money on the market, it's about comfort? And I'm not saying you're going to give them a hometown discount, but at the same time, how are you approaching it? Or are you just wherever the money is, that's where I have to go? I mean, that's just how some guys operate.
No, it's a mix of things. No, it's definitely not just I just want the most money, and I'll go wherever, or I'll do whatever just for the money. It's a mix of things, especially at this point in my career. I want a good fit for me as a player, a chance that gives me to win, and also a good fit for my family. I have my wife, and I'll have the third kid coming in June, so all of that goes into it. It's not only fully my decision. I also talk to my family about it and see. So it's a mix of things. It's not just about one specific thing, and definitely not just, I just want all the money and the rest doesn't matter. That's not who I am as a player.
How do you view the disparity between what players feel, you guys feel the level of talent and the results. This has probably been, in your career, the most talented players, at least you've said, you've played with. How do you see, that disparity having worked out?
You mean as far as our record and the talent
Record
we have?
versus what you view as the
Yeah.
talent level, which more talented players you've played with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we expected for sure better results, a better record, and to be in the playoffs. But sometimes just things don't work out for whatever reason. I think for us the biggest thing this year has been we're just inconsistent throughout the whole year. We could never just find a way to string some good wins together, for more than 3 or 4 wins, whatever it was, and so I think it's hard to really pinpoint what the issues were right now as the season just ended. But for sure, you analyze it over the next couple of weeks, watch film and things like that and see what we could have done better, what could have worked maybe for us better, what were the reasons we didn't play as well as we did. But for sure, we have the talent to be a better team. We know that. We just didn't produce on the court, as well as we should have. And so, we have to figure that out. We as players, the coaches, front office, all of it, and learn from it, and we'll see what happens in the future.
You mentioned it. One word that Arturas said, DeMar, everybody says all the time, is consistency. Yeah. And we know what it generally means, but what does it mean to you? I mean, obviously win-loss is not, but what consistency, how does that apply to basketball?
Well, I mean, I'm going to give you a couple of things. Like, for example, defensively, sometimes we'd be really good. Sometimes we'd go through spurts where we just wouldn't do what we need to do. And then same offensively, when we'd be, when we were not stagnant, where we'd play with a lot of energy in the ball, moving, cutting, setting screens for each other, being active, tough to defend, and it opens up a lot of stuff for us. Then when we get stagnant, we go away from it. That's when we start struggling, and that's the consistency part. Not just the shot making or the things like that. Is more so doing the right things consistently. I think we just didn't do those all year long. When we did, it was really good, but when we didn't, it wasn't good at all. So we just I honestly don't know the answer why we were like that, but that's what hurt us. And there were games where we play really well for 2.5 quarters and then have 6 or 8 minutes per where we just throw it all away, and we just could never figure that part out, why that was happening. Even last night we played really well for 45 minutes. Last 3 minutes we just can't, we didn't execute as well on neither end of the floor, and it cost us, a chance to go in the playoffs. So things like that. Obviously, we have to figure that why that happened. But that's I think the main reason why we weren't better than we were, because we did a lot of good things, but a lot of times they were overshadowed by that inconsistency part when we had those big spurts where we just weren't playing. Sometimes it was even a whole games where we didn't do as well.
You still think you can win here, or does that need to be reevaluated as well?
I think we do. Obviously, some stuff, we that's clear that we can't play the same way we played and try to have different results. Things like that we have to change. So yeah, some things obviously need to be adjusted for us to have a better change, because you can't just keep doing the same and expect better results. But but I do think we have a good base to do that here for sure.
I think one of the criticisms about your game is, I think from a lot of fans, your defense. But you guys were top 5 in defense this year. You don't do that by accident, and you don't do that with a poor defensive center. What do you think that the defense as a whole this year says about your game?
Well, I think, in the NBA, a lot of the defensive part is also how well the team defends and how, as a group, you're able to help each other and put each other in best possible positions to be a good defensive team. Obviously, the defensive part's been, a knock against me for some time, and I know I have certain things that I don't do as well defensively. There's things that I do really well defensively, and so, I try to just do my best I can every time I'm out there and focus on things I do well, use my IQ to help me on that end, and so I think this year was one of my better defensive years overall individually. I think there were a lot of good things I did out there. And but yeah, obviously, I'm not a huge defensive stopper. That's not new to me, and so I don't think that was new to anybody up until this year. People knew that, so it's part of it. But you figure it out and you grow from it, and you try to improve and things like that. But I think defensively we were pretty good this year. We did some good stuff. Obviously, offensively, where we should have been probably much better, we weren't able to figure that part out. But I think it shows, to answer your question, it shows that within the right system, any player can thrive on that end and be good. And so I think it was the same case for me. I think in the way we were playing defensively, I was able to be pretty good and find ways to help the team a lot. And the coaching staff was really trying to use my strengths defensively and use me in that way, so it helps our team.
Vuč, DeMar was just telling us as he gets older, his vision is to expand his game, always maybe incorporate some more things. He mentioned three-point shooting. For you, as you get older, what kind of things do you hope to incorporate in your game?
I mean, I always, try to improve on all areas of my game. It's just not, I don't usually just pinpoint one thing, oh, this is what I need to improve on. I think as you get older, you get more experience. The game comes easier to you. You're able to make reads better, adjust to different, things better as well. I think even for me, going from last year to this year, I feel like I'm a better player just being able to adjust to a whole new system of play, new teammates, figure out my ways to still be effective without being the number one option, I think also shows a lot of growth. So there's different ways to improve. It's not necessarily just a skill level always. It can be the mental part, how to affect the game in different ways. So yeah, for me, I think there's always room to improve. And, I think even at being 32 now, I think I'm a much better player than I was when I was 29 or 30. And I thought that was like my best years. And then now, I just feel the way I can impact the game in different ways. It's made me a better player. And I think the next year, learning from this year, there's many ways I can still improve and find ways to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really just one thing. Obviously I work on my whole game, my body, everything in the summer. And you learn from your past season and try to improve. But yeah, as you get older, you have to figure out ways to be more effective, to play smarter, things like that. But a lot of it comes from experience itself.
I'm curious about the communication between the players this season. There was the incident in Minnesota, Pat Bev and you, I guess in Philadelphia, wherever y'all were. Do you feel like you all took a step in the right direction in terms of holding each other accountable and addressing each other, whether it's confrontation or whatever it needs to be? Do you feel like you all took a step in the right direction this season in that way?
I'd say that incident is a little bit of a extreme word. But I'm saying that's how it was used when it was happening during the year. But I wouldn't call those incidents. I think it's just part of being a sports team. We all in here, trying to compete to win, to be the best version of ourselves, and there will be disagreements. I mean, for all you that are married here, you probably disagree with your wife, and you love your wife a lot, or husband or whatever. Or I don't know, I love my kids and I disagree with them a lot sometimes too, but that's just part of it. But the thing is just the most important thing is when there are those disagreements is how you move on from them. And I think that's what we've been able to do all year long. And when things are not going well, and obviously there are stuff that weren't going well for us on the court, there are going to be disagreements. But the good thing about this team is whenever that happened, we just, we talked it out, we moved on. It was never an issue. And it made us grow as a team, which is important. If you don't have those disagreements and moments like that, I think usually either everything's going great, but even on teams where everything's going great, you're going to have those, or, you just don't care enough. And I think that wasn't the case with us. And I think that it showed, it was a tough season for this team because we had higher expectations, but we never gave up. We never quit. We stuck with it no matter what. And, we were, 2-3 minutes away from going to the playoffs in the end. And I think that shows, character of the character of this team. And I think that shows improvement from the year before where we had trouble with that. Once it was tough for us, we'd kind of just fall apart. And so I think those things brought us closer together. You talk them out, you move on, and that's, part of being a sports team.
What I'm trying to get a sense of is whether or not it was more comfortable for you all this year
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was. Yeah, I think last year was so new for everybody. A lot of new faces, a lot of new players, and you're trying to figure everybody out, how everybody reacts to criticism, positive, reinforcement, and like tough situation. Good, like, so it was. We weren't as comfortable maybe getting on each other as much as we were this year, and so I think it helped us navigate tougher situation better this year because we were more comfortable. Like we were more comfortable going to each other and be like, hey man, like you messed up, you got to do this or that, or hey, like be in that position, things like that, or and that just shows growth. And the chemistry was obviously better. And I think I mentioned it last year. It started off so well for us, and then once we hit a rough spot, we didn't really know how to navigate it because we never went through it together. And so this year, we knew how to do that because we had that last year. The end of the season was rough. We went to the playoffs together, and then this year was a lot of up and down. But that gives you, the experience to learn how to deal with that. And I think that was definitely showing growth for sure for us as a team, and it's helped us deal with tougher situations much better. Thank you, guys. Of course.